How can a brand become so well established in our minds that a symbol alone is enough to remind us of its success? Nike can answer that question with a simple checkmark. We have all owned at least one pair of Nike shoes at some point, and whether you are a fan of the brand or not, you must admit that it's literally everywhere. When you're in a room full of people, you will definitely spot a good number of Nike shoes, and you can't help but come across the company when there is talk of anything sports related. So how did Nike become what it is today? Let's go over the brand's history, timeline, and major success moments in this video. Nike has two geniuses behind it, Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight. The partners founded the company on a handshake agreement in 1964. Bowerman was born to Jay Bowerman and Elizabeth Hoover in Portland, Oregon. After his parents' divorce in 1913, the family moved to Fossil, where his mother was raised. He also had two older siblings and a twin that died in an elevator accident when they were only 2 years old. Bowerman met his wife Barbara Young in Medford High School, where he played for the football team in state championship games. High school was crucial for Bowerman's love for sports, and it led to him attending University of Oregon to play football while pursuing a major in journalism. In university, Bowerman was quite active, joining clubs, a fraternity, and the school's track team following the advice of Bill Hayward, an experienced track coach. After university, Bowerman moved back to Medford, where he taught football. He did his job very well coaching teams and ended up winning a state title in 1940, 2 years after he had welcomed his first son. He and his wife had two more children after that, the youngest, Tom, being born in 1946. Bowerman took a break from teaching football to join the military. A successful member of the Army, he was promoted to commander after proving his duty. He later also earned bronze and silver stars for his service, as he had negotiated with the Germans to stand down for a pass he was at, days before the opposing army surrendered in Italy. After his major triumph in the military, Bowerman returned to Medford High School to continue his previous position. Not long after that, he and his family moved so he could pursue a career in coaching track at University of Oregon, where he was an alumnus. While he was the head coach of the university's track team, Bowerman trained many young athletes who became great medal-winning runners, among which was Phil Knight, with whom he would later set up the greatest sports brand in the world. However, before that, he went on to establish a training program that prepared promising athletes for global competitions. This was a great career move for Bowerman, as he became Munich Olympics 1972 head track and field coach, training teams for Europe, US, Canada, and Australia. Bowerman was always involved in sports, but his attention wasn't drawn to shoes until a trip to New Zealand, where he came across running for a fitness routine. Once he was back in the US, he put a lot of focus on this area, writing books and articles on running and creating a famous running team, Athletics West, with Geoff Hollister and Phil Knight. Bowerman showed great interest in upgrading and optimizing his team's running shoes, and learned shoemaking from a cobbler so he could do all of that. The first person to try Bowerman's shoes was Knight, as said by Nike, and he found them so comfortable and supportive that he recommended them to Otis Davis, a fellow runner. Later on, Davis dedicated his gold medal to the shoes made for him by Bowerman. After finishing his studies at the University of Oregon, Knight studied MBA in Stanford University, where he wrote a paper on his research about producing running shoes in countries where labor is cheaper. His research was a great success, and he got to test his theories and hypotheses on a trip to Japan after graduating. While he was there, Knight closed a deal with the Japanese shoe production company Tiger to import their shoes to the US. Knight first used the back of his car to sell these imported footwear, but he was doing very well for a small-scale cooperation. It was then that Bowerman decided to get involved, as he believed in Knight's new business venture. The former coach and MBA graduate created a 50-50 distribution company called Blue Ribbon Sports, which is known as Nike today. When their company was founded, Adidas and Puma had already dominated the market, but there was a need for less expensive yet high-quality options. While Knight handled the business end of things, Bill Bowerman focused on designing and experimenting with different athletic shoes. Since he had decided to keep his job at the university, Bowerman stayed there while Knight ran their headquarters from Portland. Blue Ribbon Sports' first venture was the import of Onitsuka Tiger shoes from Japan. In order to have one of them make final decisions without any bottlenecks, Bowerman gave up a percentage of his share to Knight, giving him power over the final say with a 51-49 share of the firm. Before moving on to the moment Nike was officially born, don't forget to like and share this video with your sneaker fanatic friends. So when was it that Nike started to take over the industry? In 1965, Bowerman started working on the perfect shoe for runners. He designed one with good support for runners, adding hard and soft sponge rubbers where needed and a cushioned sole to decrease fatigue. The Tiger Cortez made for running was released in 1967. However, despite its major success, it caused a dispute between Blue Ribbon and their supplier in Japan. The companies officially split in 1971, after which Tiger sued Blue Ribbon Sports for selling shoes under their name. According to Knight, the Japanese corporation was determined to take them down. They didn't succeed though, as a judge settled the case with the verdict that both companies could sell their shoes separately, as long as the names were different. That is when Nike Cortez was born, changing the brand's name forever. Its opposing company continued to sell their shoes under the name Tiger Corsair, which we know today as Asics. Nike was inspired by the name of the Greek god of victory, whom Bowerman saw in a dream. A design student and a friend of Knight's made a swoosh logo for the brand. Although Knight believed this logo would be temporary as he did not like it much, it ended up becoming the brand's icon. What's interesting is that the initial designer of the famous logo charged $35, but the Nike swoosh is worth millions today. Another one of Bowerman's most famous designs to this day, besides Cortez, was the waffle trainer. Inspired by, well, waffles. Bowerman was so invested in exploring waffle-shaped soles that he poured agents in his wife's waffle iron to get a legitimate prototype. Despite ruining the waffle maker and sticking it shut with glue-like material, he reached a conclusion and therefore produced the perfect sole and the iconic waffle trainer collection. This was Nike's second success of the many to come. Eventually, Nike started producing clothes, bags, and sports accessories with their logo plastered all over it, making those items immediately popular among the public. The company focused on marketing and branding, coming up with the famous "Just Do It" tagline in 1988. They worked with many notable people and collaborated with other brands, but Nike's most lucrative collaboration and endorsement to this day was with Michael Jordan, who had never worn a Nike shoe before. This is Nike's smartest move by far, as the Air Jordan line continues to be their biggest source of profit, bringing in over $2 billion in revenue to the company. The brand has since worked with several great individuals like Roger Federer and LeBron James, and top-notch brands like Louis Vuitton and Off-White. Nike has barely gone wrong since its establishment. Besides a few conflicts here and there, with the creative outlook of Bowerman, business abilities of Knight, and both men's hard work and striving for becoming the most powerful athletic brand, they were able to build the biggest athletic company in the world from the ground up. Whether your go-to sports brand is Nike or its competitors, you must agree that its success story is truly an inspiring one. We hope you've enjoyed this walk down Nike's timeline with us. Check out our video on the true story of Adidas and Puma.